All right, let's talk about cybersecurity. Today, we're going to flip the script a little bit. Instead of just talking about building bigger, better walls, we're going to learn how to think like the people who are trying to knock them down. Why? Because that's how you build a truly impenetrable fortress. And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Imagine spending a fortune on a state-of-the-art security system for your house, but you only find out if it actually works when a burglar is already halfway up your stairs. That's exactly the problem with a purely defensive mindset in cybersecurity. You're basically just waiting to get punched. And for years, this has been the name of the game, right? It's this endless cat-and-mouse chase. The attackers cook up some new, clever way to break in, and the defenders scramble to patch it up. But then the attackers just find another way around the patch, and the whole cycle starts all over again. It's exhausting, and it always leaves the defenders playing catch-up. But that leads to a really powerful question. What if you didn't have to wait? What if you could hunt down your own weak spots and fix them before the bad guys even know they exist? Well, that's the whole idea behind offensive security. Okay, so let's break this down. We're really talking about two totally different strategies here, two sides of the very same coin, offense and defense. So on one side, you have defensive security. This is probably what you're most familiar with. Firewalls, antivirus software, all that good stuff. Its job is to be reactive, to block attacks as they're happening. But then you have offensive security. This is all about being proactive. It's where you put on your bad guy hat and you actively try to break your own stuff to find the cracks in the walls so you can seal them up for good.
And you can see how their day-to-day jobs are different. The offense team is out there actively testing, running what are called penetration tests and scanning for vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, the defense team is managing all the security tools and, being ready to jump into action when an alarm goes off.
Now, this is a super important point. The tools and techniques might look the same, but the intent is what separates the good guys from the bad guys. Offensive security relies on white hat hackers. These are ethical hackers. They have permission to be there, and their whole goal is to make things more secure. Black hats, on the other hand, they're the criminals, using the exact same skills to steal, damage, or cause chaos.
So the big goal here isn't to ditch your defenses, not at all. It's about making them smarter and stronger. It's about finally getting ahead of the curve so you can spot and fix problems before they ever turn into a full-blown crisis.
So if you're going to think like a hacker, how do you actually do that? Let's pull back the curtain and look at their playbook.
Yeah, what does that even mean? It's not the crazy, frantic typing you see in the movies, that's for sure. It's actually a really methodical, structured process. And the best example is something called the penetration test.
A penetration test, or a pen test for short, is pretty much what it sounds like. It's an authorized attack where you try to get into your own systems. And I love this analogy. It's like a fire drill for your digital world. You practice for the disaster so you can find all the problems, the locked emergency exits, the faulty alarms, before a real fire ever starts. And these tests follow a clear four-step playbook. First up is reconnaissance, just like in a spy movie. The hacker gathers as much public info as they can about the target. Then comes scanning, where they use tools to find digital doors and windows that might be unlocked. And that leads to the main event, exploitation. This is where they actually try to break in. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, is post-exploitation. They don't just break in and leave. They carefully document exactly how they did it, what they could see, and they deliver a detailed report that's basically a roadmap for fixing everything. And not all pen tests are created equal. It really depends on how much info the ethical hackers have to start with. In a black box test, they know nothing, just like a real attacker from the outside. In a white box test, they get all the details, all the access to simulate what a rogue employee could do. And then there's gray box, which is somewhere in the middle. It's meant to mimic what a normal user with standard access might be able to get into. Each one tests a different kind of threat. So why is this proactive testing so critical? Why go through all this trouble? Well, it's because the threats out there, they're getting smarter, more patient, and way more dangerous. Let's talk about the big one, the APT. An APT, or Advanced Persistent Threat, is not your average hacker. The words to focus on here are advanced and persistent. We're talking about these really quiet, long-term attacks where a hacker gets into a network and just stays there. They live in the system, totally undetected for months or even years.
This isn't a smash-and-grab job. These attackers are digital spies. Their mission is to slowly, quietly, and continuously sneak out sensitive data. Things like company secrets, government documents, you name it. For them, it is a marathon, not a sprint.
And
These attacks are pretty distinct. First, they are highly targeted. They're going after one specific organization. They're also built to last a long time, using custom advanced tools to stay hidden. And most of all, the people behind them are incredibly patient and persistent. They will try and try again. A simple firewall just isn't going to cut it against an enemy that determined.
And that right there, that brings us full circle. When you're up against threats this sophisticated, just waiting for the alarm to go off is a losing strategy. It's time to build a smarter fortress.
Because at the end of the day, the best security isn't about choosing offense or defense. It's about making them work together. You create this powerful feedback loop where the offensive team finds a weakness and that information goes directly to the defensive team to make the walls stronger. It's a cycle of constant improvement.
So, as we wrap up, let's just quickly go over the big takeaways. First, offensive security is all about being proactive, not reactive. Second, it's about putting on that attacker's hat to find your own flaws first. Third, it's absolutely critical for testing your defenses against these really advanced threats. And finally, it's what lets you stop playing catch-up and actually get ahead in the cybersecurity race.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. In a world with threats like these, you have to ask yourself, is your security a real fortress, one that's been battle-tested and hardened from the inside out? Or is it just a fence, waiting for someone to come along and give it a good, hard push?